Hi everybody, welcome back to the Perfect Tips and Tricks with OESD. I am Carrie, and as always, thank you for joining me. Really excited today. We're going to talk about how to make the parts for our freestanding basket. Looking forward to talking to all of you about that. As a reminder, say hi, let me know you're here. Give some love to your local stores, all of the same things we talk about. It's so important that you're here and we create this community. It's been really fun to hear all of your feedback. I know that you guys look forward to this video every day as much as I look forward to seeing all of you. And the only way I know you're out there is by commenting and you guys saying hey and letting me know you're enjoying things or you're confused or you want to see something else. Just remember that that's how we get our feedback. And so if you have a minute to leave a comment and let us know that you're having fun, we're so happy to hear from all of you. So I wanted to talk a little bit about a couple of things that came up after we launched the idea of our embroidery along. So for those of you who don't remember, although I think you do, we are making the freestanding basket for all seasons. This came out last week. This is an awesome freestanding basket. You make one basket and then you can button on the parts for whichever season you are in. So a couple of things that are kind of good to talk about. So we realized that some of you who are Spree members actually got a version of the instructions that was a first draft. The cool thing about it is it's not incorrect information. So this is a little sneak peek into behind the scenes of how we do things. So when we're developing a project, we obviously spend a lot of time developing the best set of instructions we can come up with. So sometimes we have a version and we send it out in the world and our educators test it out and I test it out and the art team tests it out and we decide that something could be done in an easier way. So this is a great example of that, and somehow you guys who are Spree members got an earlier version. So like I said, the good news is it's not incorrect. It's just a different way of doing things. And as we've talked about, there's not always one concrete way to do things. So the version that is on some of your Spree USBs for our Spree Club members actually uses fiber form in place of where we are going to put our stable stick. So just so you guys understand what the difference is, our fiber form is actually this stuff. So you see how thick this is? Fiber form is awesome for adding structure into projects. So this is also great for in the bottom of a purse, something like that. So if you have it in your sewing room and you don't need it for an embroidery project, it's great stuff to have. So fiber form is something we use in some projects. So the only drawback of fiber form is that sometimes it can be a little hard to trim away from your applique pieces. So again, not an incorrect technique. We just decided to use stable stick in place of fiber form for the final version of the instruction. So for those of you who purchased this and not in your Spree Club, this information may not make sense to you. Just know that if you do see a version with fiber form in it, it's fine to follow those instructions, or you can go to our website, which is embroideryonline.com, and download the current instructions very simply. I can show you at the end of this video how you can do that if you want to see the instructions we settled on. So just wanted to clear that up. So if you have any questions about that, please leave them here. The other thing that turns out I put in the first video is that you were going to use stable stick cutaway. So we make two versions of stable stick. So stable stick, we make it in a tearaway and we make it in a cutaway. The application of this product is exactly the same in this instant. You'll see it when we talk about actually using this. I had tearaway in my house, and as we all know, we're using the products that we have in our house right now. So I didn't even think that cutaway is what we used in the instructions. In this case, Either one will work fine. I obviously had great success using tearaway. If you have cutaway at home, that is fine too. In this particular instance, it really doesn't matter a whole lot. If you'll see how we use this once I play my video. Again, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I'll try and answer when we're done. But for now, I'm going to show you the process of making your basket parts. So let's get right into that. Let's talk a little bit about prep work. So for your freestanding basket, you're going to need 2 contrasting spools of thread. One for the main color and one for this accent. You'll also want to wind a bobbin with the matching thread for each color. The other thing you'll need to do is you'll need to prep your fabric. So you'll cut 8 pieces at 5.5 by 3.5 for your basket sides. So in my case, I use this linen, so you need 8 of these, one for the outside on each side and one for the inside. And you'll need 8 corresponding pieces of your stable stick. So your stable stick is what we're going to treat your fabric with to give it more rigidity. You'll also need 2 5x5 pieces of your linen for the bottom of your basket and 2 pieces of your stable stick, also 5x5. Once you have your fabric cut, you're going to back it with stable stick. So in this case, we're using our stable stick to stiffen our fabric. So we have our piece of linen. This is my 5.5 by 3.5 piece of linen. We have 8 of these total, and this is a corresponding piece of stable stick. Stable stick is a sticky stabilizer, but in this case, we're not using it to stabilize, we're using it as a stiffener. So you're going to peel away the paper backing, and that will leave a sticky side, and you're just going to stick that to the back of your fabric piece of the same size. So now you have a piece of fabric backed with stable stick, and you'll see this is a lot stiffer. So you'll use this for your applique on your basket. So you're going to make 8 pieces of 5.5 by 3.5 for the sides and 2 pieces at 5 inches square with your fabric and your stable stick. Once you have your fabric cut, you're going to back it with stable stick. So in this case, we're using our stable stick to stiffen our fabric. So we have our piece of linen. This is my 5.5 by 3.5 piece of linen. We have 8 of these total, and this is a corresponding piece of stable stick. Stable stick is a sticky stabilizer, but in this case, we're not using it to stabilize, we're using it as a stiffener. So you're going to peel away the paper backing, and that will leave a sticky side, and you're just going to stick that to the back of your fabric piece of the same size. So now you have a piece of fabric backed with stable stick, and you'll see this is a lot stiffer. So you'll use this for your applique on your basket. So you're going to make 8 pieces of 5.5 by 3.5 for the sides and 2 pieces at 5 inches square with your fabric and your stable stick. So let's talk about hooping your stabilizer. So the first thing that I want to let you know is you don't want to put too much in your hoop. So depending on your machine, and everyone knows their machines after they get to use them a little while, and the strength of your hoop, it'll really determine how many designs you can fit in your hoop. So we recommend doing 1 freestanding per hooping, but you can certainly try it out and see how many you can fit in there without causing any sort of problems with your design. So what can happen is if you put too many things in a hoop, too many designs in a hoop, is that because there's so many stitches, it can really pull your stabilizer, which can lead to your lace not attaching properly and things like that. So again, we always teach you the way that we can guarantee you the best results, and then it's up to you to trial and error some other things, okay? So, but just remember, if you're starting out, let's start with the basics. So we're gonna take our hoop, and we've got our aqua mesh, and we have our badge master. So we talked about this a little bit in our last episode. So, pay attention to the size of your stabilizer, because depending on your hoop, you really can be economical with the way that you cut your stabilizer. Sometimes you'll be able to get 2 hoopings this way if you have a 20-inch roll. This is our 15-inch roll. It works out perfectly for this size hoop. I am going to kind of lay it on top of here, make sure I have 1 inch or 2 on either side, and just cut off a piece. Then I'm going to take my badge master, and I'm going to cut an equivalent size piece. The Badge Master doesn't have to fill the entire hoop, it just has to fill where you're embroidering. So you can float it if you want, meaning you could put it in the hoop after, after you've hooped your aqua mesh, just lay it on top. But I like to hoop it, it just makes sure nothing gets caught underneath the foot. So I'm gonna cut a piece that's about the same size. So now I have both of my pieces. So then we're gonna put that in the hoop. So I put the Badge Master on the top. So when I'm layering, my Badge Master is on top. It doesn't really matter, but it is, I just like it better on the top. It makes sense to me that way. So then you're gonna hoop it. And you want it to be really nice and tight in your hoop. So you want this to be drum tight. Make sure you tighten up your screw really nicely. This is one where if you need to make sure by giving it a little tug, that's okay, don't go crazy. But you really want this tight. You want there to be no slipping when you're embroidering. Because if this isn't tight, when you're stitching, it's gonna pull the stabilizer, which is gonna lead to poor results in your lace. So this is how you're gonna hoop. Aqua mesh, Badge Master in your hoop, nice and tight. And then we're gonna stitch our first step, which will be the placement stitch. So we've now stitched our placement stitch. So the placement stitch is just an outline of where we're going to place our fabric. So we're gonna take two pieces of fabric that we've already put our stable stick on the back of. So we have two pieces of our linen. They are backed with stable stick. And you're just gonna cover up the stitch, the placement stitch, with that fabric. So you just wanna make sure that you're totally covering that. And then you're gonna take some of your Expert tearaway tape, and you're gonna put a little piece of tape on the top and the bottom, and then you're gonna flip your hoop over, and you're gonna do the same thing on the back. So just put a piece of tape on the top and the bottom. So we're gonna take this and we're gonna stitch our tack down stitch now. So we've done our tack down stitch. So something you'll notice that is really unique about OESD's embroidery, our applique stitches, is that we do a double line of tack down stitches. And the reason we do that is so that when you are trimming away the excess fabric from your applique, if you trim through the first layer of stitching, you're not gonna have a problem with your fabric pulling away. So it's sort of a safety net. So once you stitch your tack down stitch, you're going to take your scissors and you're going to trim away the excess fabric. Now you'll want to get as close as you can. You want to try not to cut your fabric or your stitches, but you want to get as close as you can so that you don't have any fabric poking through the satin stitch. This project has pretty large satin stitches and there's lace that butts up to the applique, so it won't be as much of a worry, but you do want to trim your applique as close as you can to the stitches. Alright, so now I have the fabric trimmed away on both the front and the back. So we have the right sides of our fabric facing out on either side. So we've done that, we've trimmed our fabric, and now we're going to stitch our first set of lace on this basket piece. So we've stitched our lace, our first set of lace, and you'll notice, you'll remember we changed the bobbin to match the top thread, so it's the same on the front and the back. And now we're going to stitch our accent color. So just remember to change your bobbin for the next step to match whatever thread color you've picked to be the accent color. So let's stitch that. All right, so now we have one piece of our basket done. So we have put our applique down and we've stitched our lace. So what you've done now is you have done a successful freestanding applique piece. So that's what we call this when it combines freestanding lace and applique. So anytime that you see that in a project, you'll know how to do it. So remember, if there's ever a placement stitch and a tack down just like this, you always need to add fabric in there, because if you don't, your lace is going to fall apart. So freestanding applique, you've just completed your very first piece. All right, so you've made your parts of your basket. So what you should have are 2 of each of these files. So this one has just vertical slits where the ribbon's gonna go through up here, and this one has vertical and horizontal. So in the instructions, you'll see it asks you to make 2 of each of these. So 2 of this one and 2 of this one. So you'll have 4 total. And then you'll also have this piece right here. This is your basket bottom. So you make 1 of these. Then you're going to make this file here. So this is actually one file that has these 2 parts to the basket handle. And then also this one, which is just by itself. So once you stitch all of these, I've done this with these parts, you're going to trim away the excess stabilizer. So just with your shears, trim roughly around to get the majority of your stabilizer away from your file. Then you're going to take these pieces and you're going to rinse them out in warm running water. So that's the key here. You want to rinse in warm running water. We've never had issues with this clogging our pipes. The important thing is to just keep that water running, and the warmth is really what makes a difference. You'll see if you start to try and rinse these out in cool water, it's much, much more difficult, if not almost impossible. So warm running water, I rinse mine just until the stabilizer is gone. So it's still going to feel a little bit sticky, but you don't want to see any stabilizer. If you leave too much, you can always rinse again. You can put stabilizer back, but it's certainly easier to leave a little too much, error on that side. And then I leave mine drying down on a tea towel. You don't want to put it on a fuzzy towel because the fuzzies will stick to your project. So a tea towel with a woven nap, or a cookie cooling tray is a great thing to use. I do that also to get some airflow. So you're going to let these dry completely. So once you have all your parts together, we're going to get together in our next episode and talk about what our next steps are. All right, so hopefully that answered all of your questions about the first part of this project. It doesn't look like there was a ton of questions in the comments. Hopefully that means that this made sense to you guys. So what I hope you'll do is embroider along with me, make your parts, your bottom, your 4 sides, and your handle pieces. Next time we will be talking about making the accents. So these little doodads to put on the sides of your basket. So we'll talk about how to do that. The concept is really similar to how we made our freestanding applique side pieces. Like I said, you know, the nice thing about doing this is that once you've made a piece like this, you really have done the basic concept of a freestanding applique piece. So anytime you see a project that involves that, or freestanding lace, which you did for the handle, you now know how to do that. So that can apply to everything that you see with our projects. So next time we're going to be making these little parts. I want you to remember that you can make your basket in any color you want because you're in charge of your own embroidery. So there are no embroidery police. You get to make it whatever color you want. I'm really excited. I made mine in this, I have one in the basket brown, and then I also have one in this pretty blue floral because it's pretty and I wanted to, and we get to do whatever we want. So that's the joy of embroidery. You can change the colors to match whatever fabric you have at home. Right now, I know we're kind of all working with whatever supplies we have in our sewing room. So you really get to be the boss. So really quickly before I leave you until tomorrow, I wanted to show you how easy it is to find the instructions, the updated instructions if you want to use those. If you go to our website, which obviously you guys know is embroideryonline.com, right here on the front page is still the basket for all seasons. So when you click on this, you'll see right here, see preview sewing information. When you click on it, it takes you to the PDF. So this is something you can see without ever purchasing the designs. And as you scroll, you'll see your color information. But as you scroll and you keep scrolling, you will see all of the instructions right here. So you'll see the supplies that we suggest. It's tells you what fabric pieces you need to cut, so you didn't have to take notes in my video. Gives you the step-by-step exactly what we did. So essentially here are the crib notes for today's lesson. So again, at embroideryonline.com, if you go to Freestanding Basket for All Seasons, which is collection 12842, and click on preview sewing information, you will be able to see all of the instructions we talked about today. Obviously, you can replay this video as many times as you want, but this is a great resource. And again, for those of you who have the instructions from the first round of the Spree Club USBs, this is a little different than that, so you may want to check that out. And really quick, I don't know if you guys know we're doing this. We've talked about it a couple times on the videos. We have our $10 daily deal going on through this month. So every day, if you check back on our website and click on the banner here, the $10 daily deal, a new collection changes every day around noon Central Time. So today it's lace blooms for $10. You get this whole collection, which is an amazing deal. So every day, check back, the collection will change, and that is right on our homepage, the $10 daily deal. You can click on that banner. So I hope that you guys had fun with me today learning how to make the parts of your basket. I am super, super thrilled to be doing this with you guys. It's so fun for me. It gives us all something to look forward to. Tomorrow, let's see if I'm right. Yes, tomorrow, Kelly will be back with us. A lot of you know Kelly Rushing. She is a fantastic educator of ours. She will be with us, and we are going to be making an In the Hoop zipper Easter egg pouch. So one of our designs, which is the In the Hoop Easter egg pouch, Kelly's going to be doing that. We can all do that together. She's got it all sort of stepped out for us, which will be really fun. Still a little bit of time for Easter. And for some of us who are doing Easter celebrations a little later than we would typically, you got plenty of time to get stitching on that. So again, tomorrow, 1 p.m. Central Time, Kelly will be with us. We'll be doing In the Hoop Easter egg pouch. And then on Thursday, we will be stitching our bits and pieces. Friday, we'll be assembling our basket. And then remember to send show and tell pictures to me. I really want to see what you're doing. I have set up an email address, which is show and tell. That was a tough one. showandtell@oesd.com, and that'll get to me, or you can post them in the group. So it doesn't look like I have any other major questions out in the world. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Can't wait to see you tomorrow. Happy stitching. Enjoy the rest of your day.